Hey everybody, welcome to James Quest, and tonight I just got back from watching the brand new Sony Spider-Man universe series of movies, Madam Web. And yeah, this is one that the internet has definitely been just shredding to pieces, just decimating every critic. I think it's, last time I saw it was like at a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes. And yeah, this is, at least so far this year, this is the new Morbius, it looks like. Wow. Okay, and look, of course, you hear all that stuff going into a movie, and you try to adjust your expectations. You're like, okay, I've heard the way the internet has reacted, and oftentimes the internet reacts in a very hyperbolic way, and you try to go in there saying like, all right, prove the internet wrong, movie, show me what you got. And yeah, the internet is not wrong on this one, guys. You know, if I was not here to, you know, be alive for these events, if I was, I don't know, a younger person who is just now sitting down to watch a bunch of movies, you could show me this movie and then tell me, oh yeah, and then right after this one they came out with, you know, 2005's Fantastic Four, and then after that came the Nicolas Cage, Ghost Rider. Oh, but right before this movie came Ang Lee's Hulk, and I would believe you because it carries the same vibe, it carries the same like level of corniness, the same stilted dialogue, the same quality of effects. The costumes look like they came from that era. It in so many ways, and you know, I think I don't know if you it could even claim that this was somehow done on purpose, because the movie, in an ironic way, is set in 2003. It feels so much like it is a product that was made then, not like, I don't know. I would be impressed if they came out and said, oh yeah, we did that on purpose. We went into this movie saying we wanted this to feel like like all those other movies had just come out, and this one is also coming out then. We want to ignore the last 20 years of superhero movie progress and just go all the way back. We're taking it all the way back to like the early 2000s, and this is what we have. Yeah, guys, look, the dialogue is not only written badly and stilted, but it's clear that this movie has been edited to hell. So many things were removed and switched around and taken out, and reshoots were done and rewrites were done, and in post-production they had to like try to save what they could from this thing. So I am fascinated to find out what this movie originally was going to be. There's all kinds of rumors out there. Some people are saying this was originally supposed to connect to the Tobey Maguire movies or even the Andrew Garfield movies, and then they tried to make it the Tom Holland movies, and they couldn't get the timeline to work. And they're, you know, hey, spoiler alert, I can't imagine many people care about spoilers about this movie, but spoiler alert, yeah, Uncle Ben, there's a young Uncle Ben, and you know, they come out really early on and say like, yeah, this is Ben Parker, you know, so like they're dropping the names, they're saying like, okay, we acknowledge who this is, and yet at the same time the movie seems to refuse to say in any kind of way the word Spider-Man or Peter Parker or anything that would absolutely confirm it to be like about that, even though they are saying this is Ben Parker, that's Mary Parker, Mary Parker's having a baby, Ben Parker just started dating some girl who for some reason they don't even say the name May. They don't like acknowledge like, oh yeah, his new girlfriend is May, it's Aunt May. They don't say that. I don't know why, but it's like they gotta like leave hints. And then I don't know if there's some kind of weird contractual thing with Marvel Studios proper where like, hey, you cannot say Spider-Man, you cannot say Peter Parker, you cannot do this and that. And so here's Sony Pictures getting as close as they possibly can without doing those things. That's what it feels like. So I have to imagine there's something written down somewhere where they're like, okay, we technically cannot say Spider-Man, even though Sony does own the rights to Spider-Man movies, I feel like in order to have this partnership continue with Marvel Studios, there must be something in the clause where it's like, okay, you do your Morbius and your Cravens and your Venoms and whatever the hell you want to do over there. Do not say Spider-Man. But that did not stop them from, like, you got a villain who is essentially wearing a Spider-Man costume. They call him the ceiling guy, and then they call him like at one point they're like he was like a spider guy, a spider person. They don't say Spider-Man. They just won't say it. They won't say the word. It's crazy. And they even have like a whole scene where Mary Parker is like having the baby shower, and they're playing all these baby shower games, and it's like, hey, guess the name of the baby. And they're taking turns, and a whole bunch of like, oh, she's seeing the future and weird stuff's happening, and they get interrupted before they reveal the name to be Peter Parker. They don't say the name Peter. It's bizarre. So like I said, it feels like there's some strange contractual thing playing out in front of our eyes where we're gonna have characters that look like Spider-Man, live in Spider-Man's world, reference Spider-Man, are directly related to Spider-Man. We're literally going to see Peter Parker being born, but we will never say that name. We will never say the word Spider-Man. Even the villain, and I noticed this because I thought it was strange, the villain of this movie has all the Spider-Man powers, but he does not shoot webs or swing from webs or anything like that. He just jumps around. And I feel like even that is like a way that they can make this technically not too close to Spider-Man, even though he's definitely just wearing a Spider-Man suit. Okay, so let's get into the movie. Anyway, I feel like I have to like unload all this because I'm so angry at Sony Pictures, you know. And look, I'm not gonna lie, Marvel's been going through a rough patch, you know, like their last handful of projects not been the greatest. Things aren't looking so well in superhero land, right? But for the longest time now, I've been like, and a lot of people have been saying how it really sucks that Sony Pictures still owns the rights to Spider-Man. Yes, we get some awesome Spider-Verse movies out of it. That's great. That's awesome. They are awesome. It's very obvious that the people who are making those movies are not the same people making these movies. You know, the animation department is just a completely different production house than the people making your Madam Webs and your Morbiuses and your Venoms and, you know, definitely your Cravens. So it really sucks because I know that, you know, and you can test this at home with your parents and your grandparents and your aunts and uncles and whoever else. Ask them, you know, show them a trailer for Madam Web and ask them, what do you think this is? And I bet you they're gonna say, oh, this is a Spider-Man, right? Like, this is because they saw Iron Man and Doctor Strange hang out with Spider-Man, so this must be part of that. Because of course they would, because that's exactly what Sony Pictures wants people to think. They want, you know, they know that your general audience does not know the difference between the logos that pop up. One says Marvel Studios and the other one says in association with Marvel. They know that when those two logos show up, most people aren't paying that close attention. They're just gonna be like, yeah, it's all, you know, Iron Man could show up any second, or Doctor Strange is gonna show up. I saw the other movie where all the Spider-Mans were hanging out and Doctor Strange was there. I saw that movie. And they think that this is that, you know, and it's, I know, like, look, this is all just billion-dollar companies making contracts with each other, and I shouldn't care that much, but it is annoying, because you know that that's exactly how it's playing out, and that's what they want. Anyways, let's get into the movie. Sorry, rant over. Get into the movie. Okay. So Madam Web, so they do some very interesting choices here. The line from the trailer is not in it about how my mom was researching spiders in the Amazon when she died. But that is what happened. Her mom was in the Amazon researching spiders when she died. Specifically, they were looking for a magic spider in Peru. You know, she thinks it's gonna like cure diseases, and the guy with her, Ezekiel Elliott, the bad guy of this movie, he thinks that it's going to be a magical powered thing because the locals around here. There's rumors of spider people, and yeah, this is the direction we're going, by the way. So like, you get bit by these magical spiders, and you become a spider person. And they did some interesting things here, and I don't necessarily hate the look, but the concept is very silly. So basically, what we're dealing with when you finally see these spider people in Peru, they have red paint all over them, and on top of that, they're wearing like this black webbed wiring mesh kind of material over them, while they have just red paint on their skin. And so it's obviously supposed to look like Spider-Man's costume, but hey, it's not Spider-Man. Again, that hypothetical clause in the contract or whatever, that they're like, it's not Spider-Man's costume, it's just people with red paint and black webbing like material over their red painted skin. That's all it is. It's like, okay, sure, Sony, okay. Anyways, so mom gets shot, the evil guy takes the spider, and mom gives birth while she's dying in this magical spider pool with all these magical spider people around her. And they're like, she's strong, the baby will live, and we'll explain everything when the baby comes back one day. And of course, now here we have Dakota Johnson's Madam Web, what's her name? Catherine something? Doesn't matter. It's Madam Web. And I gotta say right away, I don't know if this is a Dakota Johnson thing. I have not seen her in other movies. I know she's the 50 Shades girl. I've never seen those movies. I don't know if this is the way she acts all the time, but everything was just monotone. Like, and when I say this, I mean like, so the way that she talks when she's having a conversation in a room, and the way that she talks when she's like, literally driving an ambulance, going in and out of traffic, the alarms going off, the sirens going off, and she's trying to like rush someone to the hospital, she has the same tone. It's very, very monotone and kind of like this. And it's exactly the way it sounded in the trailer, in that line that everyone made fun of. It's like, we have to get to the hospital. Come on, people, move. I'm trying to do my job here. It's like, there's no difference. I'm like, are you panicked? Are you in a rush? Are you angry? Are you frustrated? Are you talking normally? I can't tell. And it's weird because occasionally they try to do like a funny scene between her and Ben, and it actually does work. And I'm like, okay, she kind of like scoffs, and she kind of says like some stupid line, and I'm like, okay, so you can emote. But for some reason, when you're supposed to be panicked, you're just very like kind of blank face monotone thing going on. And I don't know if this is just like her shtick, this is just like what she does, but it was weird. And it's like that the entire movie, even at the end when she's supposed to be like proud of the three girls for how much they've overcome. She's like, yes, I can see your futures. You're gonna become so strong and powerful. I'm like, can you show an emotion? What's happening right now? Oh, it's so weird. And then of course, and I had heard this before going in, so I'll admit I was looking for it. The villain's dialogue, everything he says, was recorded over. And I was looking for it because I was like, it can't be that bad, it can't be that noticeable. And yeah, you can hear it. You can definitely hear that he is in some recording booth saying these lines, and he's not actually on set saying these lines. And I don't know exactly what happened. There must have been, maybe they just wanted him to sound slightly different, have an accent or something. I don't know what it possibly could have been. I don't know if they did all this just to take out some plot points, just to take out some lines of dialogue and switch them around. But it's very obvious that he's in a recording booth. And there's one scene in particular. I'll have to, one day I'll find a clip of this and post it on Twitter. He's talking with his like computer assistant who's like hacked into the NSA. Yeah, that's 2003. They hacked into the NSA, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can see everyone." Like, okay, I don't know what kind of commentary you're trying to do there, but like, yeah, that we know we're in, you're 20 years in the past. I guess this was news to you. Okay, whatever. Anyways, he's talking with his assistant, and the camera actually stays on him while he's speaking, which rarely happens, by the way, which is again another sign that, you know, it's a bunch of ADR. Like the camera very rarely shows his face while he's speaking, especially like direct, like show his face front facing, you know. But they do it once, and I swear, have you guys ever seen Kung Pao, where they like joke about 70s martial arts movies, about how like the the translations were always off, and the, you know, the words never matched what was happening, obviously because it was a translation. It was like that. It really was like that. I'm like, okay, clearly those are not the words that are coming out of this person's mouth right now, and I can't believe they left this in the movie. You know, like I had heard they'd done reshoots, but like I don't know. It was bad. It was really bad. And if you look for it, you're gonna find it, and it's gonna be obvious. Now, and of course, now I'm curious. Like, if I didn't know about that ahead of time, would I have noticed as immediately? Maybe not. I don't know. But I sure noticed this time. And yeah, just otherwise, this is not much of a superhero movie. You know, like she discovers her powers to kind of see things before they happen, and they do it in a weird editing kind of way where it's like you see a thing fully play out, and then it's like revealed to you, the audience, that the thing you just watched is actually a vision. That's not what happened, because everyone just got murdered. So now we're gonna see the real way it happened, you know. And of course they have to like go through all the dialogue all over again until we get to the point where it's gonna be different this time, which, you know, it is definitely Final Destination. It feels like whoever wrote this, they're a really big fan of Final Destination, specifically those very beginning parts where, you know, everything goes horribly wrong and then they get a chance to fix it. And they're like, what if we just do that, and that's the movie? We just do it over and over and over again. And we are constantly revealing to the audience that the thing they just saw was actually a premonition, and we're gonna keep on doing that. That's the movie. And I think there's a Nicolas Cage movie that did a very similar thing. I think it was called like Next or something. I don't know. My point is, that's all they do in this movie, and it's it becomes tiresome because it feels like they rewind way too much, especially when she's first, you know, and I get it, she's just now learning how to control it, but like they keep on like doing this like choppy editing where like someone says a line and then they move forward a little bit, but then they move backward a little bit, and then they move forward a little bit, and they move backward a little bit, and you keep on hearing the same line being said over and over again because they're trying to like indicate of like, okay, this is our moment where the audience is going to be able to follow where we're at in her vision. And it's annoying. It gets really, really old and annoying, and you're like, okay, I get it. I'm tired of seeing this train scene or this diner scene. Like, can you find a better way of showing us this? And eventually they do, and it's not till the very, very end where they do the thing where it's like, oh, she is able to tell people, duck now, do this, grab this thing, don't go that way, you know, and she's able to like actually display her powers as like a form of competence because she knows what's about to happen, so she's able to avoid everything without us having to live through all that with her. And it feels like, man, just do that much earlier, you know, just like it was so annoying. Anyways, basically, yeah, this guy, he has a spider sense dream where he's being killed by the three main girls like 20 years in the future, and so he's like, well, I gotta kill them now, that way, you know, I don't die. Which, hey, okay, that kind of makes sense, right? Like, if you know you're gonna die, maybe go after the people who are gonna murder you. I guess I understand the logic there, right? And they do a weird thing where, like, this is one of the powers that the Peruvian spider people get when they're bitten by this spider. They're able to have a sense. Again, they don't say spider sense. They say it's a special sense. Some kind of weird sense they get of the future. You know, and they make this like a full-on, you know, like Madame Web's powers, it's a full-on precognition. but it feels like they're trying to imply that that's just spider sense, which I'm like, that's not exactly how spider sense works. That's not really what spider sense does, you know. Spider sense is more like just like a tingly warning thing of like, move now, you know. It's like an impulsive like muscle reaction, whereas this is like full on like, oh yeah, I literally just saw 20 years in the future. Like, I'm, you know, like that's not the same thing. But okay, that seems to be their implication. But okay, whatever. Anyways, we do not see these girls ever get their powers. We don't see how it happens. We don't see when it's gonna happen. We see very, very, very quick glimpses of them in their costumes doing superhero stuff for like probably a total of 15 seconds, maybe. So yeah, don't expect anything more than what you saw in the trailer, because that's pretty much it. And Madam Web, so you know, like I said, she goes the whole thing where she like finally is able to display her power and tell people when to duck and when to dodge, because she knows what's about to happen. She goes in the water. They've defeated the bad guy, who, by the way, yeah, he gets crushed by a giant Pepsi sign. They're fighting on top of a Pepsi sign. Earlier in the movie, she gets handed a Pepsi. It's, you know, Pepsi's all over this thing, right? Anyways, she falls in the water, and then it's like the movie remembered at the last second. Oh wait, she's supposed to be blind and in a wheelchair, and then like a random piece of wreckage hits her in the face while she's underwater, and now she's blind. Like, they get her out of the water and now her eyes are all cloudy and she's just like immediate blind. Like, okay, I guess she's blind now. And then next thing they show, she's in a wheelchair. So I'm like, I guess the fall also disabled her, I guess. I paralyzed her. Okay, she's in a wheelchair now and she's blind. They give her like the dumbest glasses I've ever seen. I don't know why they weren't just like red tinted sunglasses or something. They give her like this weird, it almost looks like Cyclops's visor kind of thing, but like wider and thicker. And then, and this is before she gets her superhero suit, by the way, and then they show like, oh yeah, girls, I'm so proud of you. I can see your future and I can see that you're never gonna give up. And she's seeing them like as superheroes in the future. You know, and then, by the way, this is like the only other 5-second glimpse we get of them. In the future, she's wearing her Madam Web costume in the wheelchair and everything, except she has like this giant like face shield visor thing instead of glasses. Like, this is her superhero costume, her Madam Web superhero costume. It's this giant like, I don't even know what the hell this was supposed to be. It's like a face guard, and I don't understand why they did this. It looks really cheap. It looks like it's made out of just like some painted plaster, you know, like, and look, a lot of people throw out the word like cosplay as like an insult, like, oh, it just looks like bad cosplay, but it does. It looks legitimately like some cosplay that was made really quickly at the last possible second. You know, this is not something that a major studio would be putting out in 2024. Which again is why I'm like, you could have told me that like Fantastic Four 2005 is gonna come out, and even you know even by those standards, these costumes are really poor. This is the other comparison, Birds of Prey on the CW. I think it lasted maybe 6 episodes total, maybe. Nobody watched it. It's like that. That's what this movie is. This movie is the CW's Birds of Prey. So just Google that, I guess. Oh my god. I don't know what to say, guys. Oh, and then last thing, Madam Web now has the ability to like send out ghostly versions of herself, where she's able to like do. Is this a power she has? I was not aware of this being a Madam Web power. She's able to like split herself into ghostly versions of herself and like save the girls for a second. And they don't elaborate on this. They just like, she goes to her Obi-Wan, who was one of the spider guys in the cave. She goes, Oh yeah, that's the other thing. She has kidnapped these girls. She's wanted for kidnapping. She's trying to save them, but she's wanted for kidnapping. Somehow she's able to get on a plane, go to Peru, just leave the girls with Uncle Ben. She meets her Obi-Wan Kenobi spider person who explains like all the exposition you need. And then, you know, he's literally like, you'll be able to be in two places at once. And I took this to be like a metaphor, you know, like, oh, she can see the future, she can, you know what I mean, like it'll be like she knows what's happening because she's already been there, like in two places at once kind of thing. No, he means literally she'll be able to like ghost herself into separate things and like go out and do several things at the same time. I don't know, guys. I think something's happening where, in order for Sony Pictures to hold on to the Spider-Man rights, they have to come out with a Spider-Man related movie every 2 or 3 years. And I also think that because Marvel Studios is teaming up with them to help make their mainline Spider-Man movies, the Tom Holland ones, that prevents them from using any live action version of Peter Parker or saying the word Spider-Man or doing anything like that without Marvel Studios' permission or involvement. I think that must be what's happening. That's the only explanation possible of like how a movie like this gets made, gets watched by, I assume some executives watched this, and then they say, yes, let's release that. That's what we'll let the public see. This is good. This is what we'll do. They saw what happened with Morbius. They lost so much money with Morbius, and they just went ahead with this. And this is not the end, because we know Kraven is coming out, and people are already making fun of the Kraven trailer. What are they doing? There has to be like more to this behind the scenes, right? Like, because they're at a point where like they definitely don't care about these movies. They don't care what happens to them or how they end up or like what the reaction is to them. They don't care about any of that. It's very obvious to me that the only ones they actually care about are the Spider-Verse movies, because those are starting to make money and those got really popular, and the Tom Holland movies, because the last one of those made, you know, $1 billion something, you know. And I think in between that, they're like, well, we gotta put something out. We gotta keep this contract alive, so these are like our C tier movies, you know. And they're like, whatever, just while the good movies are being worked on and written and carefully handled in association with Marvel Studios, and the animated ones have what, fill in the word, right? These ones are just like throwaway movies. And the, like I said earlier, the horrible thing about that, of course, is that your general audience does not know the difference, you know. And it's probably not fair to expect them to be, you know, nerds like us who are gonna know the difference between this and the MCU. Like, we all saw Deadpool and Wolverine, and we know what all this means. We know what the TVA is. We acknowledge like the Loki connection, and we understand all the implications and you know, like what this actually means continuity wise. But your general audience does not know the difference between that Deadpool trailer and trailers for this movie or trailers for Kraven. They think it's all the same thing, because why wouldn't they? It says Marvel at the beginning. The trailer says Marvel. Why would they know any difference? That's what it said. So it's frustrating as it's always been, and I don't know. We know this movie's not gonna make any money. In fact, I've probably already, I'm at almost 30 minutes. I've talked about this thing more than anyone should ever bother to. I don't know. I guess we'll see if anything ever comes of this. I'm sure that's, you know, people are theorizing that's why they put out the Fantastic Four casting. That's why they had there was some other Marvel thing they put out recently. They're like putting out all this stuff. Oh, the X-Men 97 trailer. you know, they're putting out all these like, you know, interesting Marvel news because they're like, please ignore Madam Web. Just don't. That's not us. We have nothing to do with that. That's man. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about Madam Web. Are you gonna bother to see it? Are you does it make you sad on the inside a little bit? Like it kind of makes me sad on the inside. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.